So for my part is the problem statement of this mini project. Malaysia is experiencing rapid industrialization and urbanization, giving the adverse effects on the environment from the aspect of increasing amount of the waste generated. Similar to many other countries, rapid urbanization and industrialization also have changed the characteristic of Malaysia's solid waste management generate. Besides that, waste general rates also increase due to demand of Malaysia for quality of life increase. So the typical solid waste management system practiced in developing countries bring many problems which are low collection coverage and irregular collection service, crude open dumping and burning without air and water pollution control, and also the breeding of vermin and flies. Okay, so for the objective, to study the problem of solid waste in Malaysia, to identify the challenge of managing solid waste in Malaysia, and also to analyze the strategy that has been adopted in solid waste management in Malaysia. Okay, what is solid waste? Solid waste is one Malaysia key environmental issues, and it is eroding our environmental ability to sustain life. Due to rising population, the quantity of garbage produced is increasing, and only around 5% of it is get recycled. Despite the vast volume and complexity of garbage produced, Malaysia waste management standards remain inadequate. These include obsolete and incomplete documentation of trash collection rates and composition, inactive storage and collective system, mixing municipal waste with toxic and hazardous waste, indiscriminate waste disposable or dumping, and inadequate disposable site area usage. So, solid waste management refers to the process of collecting and handling solid waste. It also provides recycling options for products that do not belong in the rubbish or trash. Garbage or solid waste has been a problem for as long as people have lived in communities and residential areas. So, waste management is concerned with how solid waste may be transformed and turned into useful resource. So, every household, including company owners and all around the world, should adopt it solely.
What is solid waste management system? Solid waste management, SWM, is described as the management of waste creation, storage, collection, transportation, processing, and disposal in accordance with best practice, taking into account public health, financial, legal, and environmental considerations. The process of minimizing the quantity of garbage stream is known as solid waste minimization. What is the concept of minimizing? The 3 R's and treatment are significant concepts in waste minimization. Minimization of solid waste, the 3 R's idea is one technique to reduce the quantity of solid trash that has to be disposed of. As you can see in the hierarchy of solid waste management, waste reduction comes first and is a more challenging option than recycling. Households must minimize the quantity of municipal solid trash produced in the housing sector. The pyramid of waste minimization shows where reduction is the most preferred option, while the landfill is seen as the least favored option. What is the best strategy for minimize the solid waste? Because the production of solid waste may be minimized directly, solid waste reduction is the earliest and best strategy. What is solid waste reduction? Solid waste reduction, according to the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA), is stated as minimizing material manufactured to minimize quantities before the user buys or consumes it. This involves reducing the number of ingredients used in each step of the manufacturing or usage of a product. This method can minimize the amount of solid waste generated throughout the manufacturing process. What is the method that can be used to reduce the generation of solid waste? There are several methods that can be used. Number 1, to minimize solid waste, extend the life of an item, which is tires. To minimize wanting to replace new products, we can repair damaged ones. Number 3, Designing products that can be used, refilled, or reused, such as reusing a bottle with the same materials to fill with mineral water, rather than needing to buy a new bottle. Encourage more people to avoid using disposable products that are difficult to dispose of, such as baby diapers. What is the ingredients that can be recycled? Several ingredients that can be recycled is paper, plastic, aluminium, and glass. What is the other option for minimizing solid waste, especially in the waste stream? The final option for minimizing solid waste in the waste stream is treatment. What is composting and incineration? Composting is one of the reducing techniques that may redirect significant amounts of waste. Composting is limited to food and household waste. Incineration is a controlled combustion method for the disposal of solid waste, which is solid, liquid, and gas. According to statistics, Malaysia produces 37000 tons of solid waste daily. In the government needs RM2.2 billion to manage the solid waste every year. Therefore, solid waste recycling efforts are crucial in reducing the production of solid waste and thus reducing the cost of solid waste management in the future. What is the name of consortia that handling of solid waste in Malaysia? For today, solid waste management has been privatized and handled by 3 appointed consortia, namely Alam Flora Sdn Bhd AFSB, which operates in the Central or Eastern Region, Environment Indaman Sdn Bhd operating in the Northern Territory, and Southern Waste Management SWM Environment, which operates in the Southern Region. What is the content of municipal solid waste MSW? The content of municipal solid waste MSW is intimately linked to the household amount of economic status and lifestyle. What is Malaysian most recognizable solid waste composition? In general, Malaysian most recognizable solid waste composition is highly organic trash, which contains both biodegradable and non-biodegradable trash. What is the major elements in establishing the concept of sustainability to be fulfilled within solid waste management? Generation, segregation, storage, collection and transportation, evacuation and treatment, material and energy recovery, and disposal are all major elements in establishing that this concept of sustainability may be fulfilled within solid waste management. What is generation in solid waste? The production of solid waste of product or product that has no use and is rejected by the user is known as generation. The kind and quantity of such solid trash will be influenced by the solid waste category. For example, the creation of domestic and commercial solid trash differs from the institutional and industrial solid trash. Organic and solid waste. Inorganic solid waste are two types of household and commercial solid waste. As a consequence, a certain kind of solid waste generated and the quantity of solid waste generated are elements that must be determined in order to establish the most appropriate and successful solid waste management for a given location. Municipalities in improvisation typically lack recycling programs, although this does not rule out the possibility of recycling. When comparing to the two circumstances, it becomes evident that the operations and policy of each country are fundamentally different. In affluent countries, attitude about recycling and typically positive since it is considered a societal standard. However, in a poor countries, resource recycling is still practiced. Both industrials and developing countries must recognize that rising environmental awareness and behavior is critical to promoting solid waste minimization. Of project methodology. Perlis Indra Kayangan is the state of Malaysia. Perlis is the smallest state in Malaysia with an area of only 821 kilometers. In 2010, the overall population was predicted to be 2031 541 people, and further increased to 2054 and in 2099, with the bulk of the population being native, 88.4%. The analysis of this is based on the primary data collected through a Google Form survey because of some problems during the pandemic to do survey physically. From this survey, we know that everyone knows about solid waste management, but they just know the basic solid waste management and they do not know the flow or process of how solid waste is processed. Solid waste generation rates are estimate of how much rubbish is generated by household or enterprise over a period of time, and it was generated over 230,000 tons each in day in Malaysia. According to the City Population Web report, the population of Perlis was estimated to be 2,054 and 900 in July 2020. In view of this, the estimated solid waste generated per person or per day would be 1.0 kg, which translates 2,054 and 900 kg daily for the entire Perlis state. The wastes are classified into three categories: non-recyclables, recyclables, food waste. For waste composition, results show that food waste 45.8% constitute more among other waste, followed by plastic 37.5%, paper and box 12.5%, and tins 4.2%.
Next is for my part, and I will explain to you about the waste handling, collection, transfer and the disposal. And for the first one is the waste handling, storage and the processing. So there are two types of storage facility, which are the primary and the secondary. For the major storage, this is the waste that collected from each houses, and for the second is the central location from the house. And the way that waste has been stored is through the waste basket based on the research we made. And for the handling, it is the process of dividing waste into distinct categories, and the proper on-site processing is to reduce the volume of waste for final disposal and recovering usable materials. Next is the waste collection. The waste collection is the process of collecting and transporting the solid waste that been collected from home or any certain locations. Transport employed throughout the collection and the delivery processes. And solid waste collection is determined by the location where the solid waste is generated and stored. And as you can see, this is the type of transportation that can be used through the waste collection. Okay, next is the waste transfer and transportation. It is an important process for on-time delivery, and the amount of solid trash carried is more ideal when the vehicles and the workers are available. To make the process systematic, the collection and the transportation must be in sync, and the solid waste is transported and delivered from storage to evacuation sites, treatment centers and the disposal location using variety of vehicles such as trains, tankers, trucks, barge or other vehicles known as the waste transportation. The example of carried waste can be for the municipal rubbish until the hazardous waste. Okay, finally is the waste disposal. Idaman is the solid waste management research center that we picked. It owns and maintains two types of landfills: the Padang Siding landfill in Perlis, which had been closed in the April 2017. So all the garbages was transferred to the new Rimba Mas landfill in Perlis. Rimba Mas landfill is a sanitary landfill with a capacity of 30 hectares, which equivalent to 74 acres. A lifespan of 10 to 15 years, receives an average of 120 tons per day. It has 4 complete facilities. It also has waste disposal and the waste materials. These are the type of photos, the example photos that we picked from the Rimba Mas sanitary landfills.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hi. I am Muhammad Aslam bin Ahmad Ruzi. Today, I will present my part, which is discussion. Firstly, Malaysia has its own waste management agency that is responsible for managing all of the waste generated in every state. For Perlis, Rimba Mas Landfill is the agency that manages the solid waste management. Alhamdulillah, all of the objectives in this mini project have been met successfully. We are using two methods, which are internet search and Google Form survey for our project. Next, the problems of solid waste in Malaysia and Perlis. Malaysia generates 17,000 tons of waste per day, but only 5% of it is recycled. Besides that, estimated amount of solid waste generated per person per day is 1 kilogram, which equates to 254,900 kilograms per day for the entire state of Perlis. From the online Google survey, 58% of respondents agreed that the problem happened because of community's lifestyle. Lastly, numerous diseases and complications can occur if the solid waste problem is not addressed properly. The last part of my presentation is about the challenges and solutions. The first challenge that solid waste management in Malaysia facing right now is the rapidly increasing volume and complexity of waste composition as a result of urbanization and consumer behavior. Next, as a developing country, Malaysia is grappling with the issues of determining the most appropriate methods of treating and disposing of waste because of some advanced technologies need more budgets. Despite that, Malaysia has taken a stepwise approach to privatizing and centralizing its solid waste management in order to improve waste management. Next, the most frequently used step in Malaysia is disposal, and a sanitary landfill is a method of disposing of waste on land. Lastly, Malaysia government also continues to promote a more efficient waste management system by encouraging reuse and reducing waste, ultimately resulting in a reduction in landfill waste. Last but not least, let's use these 3 simple steps, which are reuse, reduce, and recycle. Thank you.
So for the conclusion, solid waste management is the important to create a much cleaner and safer environment for the residents in any area or location. And we have also been able to identify the major problems regarding solid waste management in the area that we have been surveyed, such as the community lifestyle, in which the area with high standard of living and productivity tend to have more municipal solid waste per person less than developed areas. This issue will keep being major problems in the future in a global way if there is no effort made to reduce the solid waste. Next, we can pin out the challenge of managing solid waste in the research location, which is the odor pollution. The general causes of this odor pollution is the decaying organic materials from the solid waste, disturbance of waste material, and environmental conditions such as wine. That's all from our group about evaluating the problem of solid waste management in Malaysia. Thank you.